everybody, I am doing this video because my second grade son had a report that he had to write where he had to compare the different planets from Earth. And if he could live on any planet other than Earth, what planet would it be and why would he choose that? So because I was looking on YouTube and looking online, I didn't really see anything that was kind of kid friendly, that kind of comprised of all the different variables each planet has. We decided to put this video together, so hopefully this might help. All right, so what I did is I printed out this picture here, and I gave this to my son, so that way he can see where the sun is, and he can see where each planet is located in our solar system. He can actually see the distance, or relative distance, from each planet from the sun. So he can see here that Mercury, actually it's right here, is the closest to the sun. And if we go all the way over to the left, then we got Neptune, which is the farthest from the sun. And he can also see that we're here on Earth. So we pretty much compared every information to Earth since he's supposed to pick a planet other than Earth to live on. So Vince, looking at that picture, the closest planet to Sun is what?
Mercury.
Mercury, okay? So we're going to discuss characteristics of each planet, including color, moons, weather, orbital period, gases, surface, and size, and if it's livable. So I have my son make this same chart on his paper. We have planets on the top, we have the 8 planets on the top, and then we have all the different characteristics over here on the left. So Mercury, the color of Mercury, if we look at it, it's going to appear to look grayish brown. There are no moons on Mercury. Now the weather is very crazy on Mercury. It's either very hot or very cold. So depending on where you're at on Mercury, it's either so hot that you're pretty much melting, or it's so cold that your whole body's freezing. Either way, you can't survive. Orbital period. Orbital period is the time it takes the planet to orbit all the way around the sun. So for Earth, that would be like a year. It takes us 365 days for Earth to go all the way around the sun. So because Mercury is the closest to the sun, it actually only takes Mercury 88 days to orbit around the sun. So Vince, what did you say last time? Because it only takes 88 days. That's about how many times?
4.
That's right, 4 times. So you can orbit around the sun 4 times with Mercury, as it only takes 1 time for Earth. Now the main gas that is found on Mercury is oxygen, which is good because that's what humans breathe, right? The surface of Mercury, the surface is filled with craters and cliffs. So Vince, do you know what craters are? Yes? What are they?
There are things that go deep down.
Yeah, they look like little dips and holes. Yep. So they have a lot of craters on the surface and cliffs. And cliffs are, you ever watch the movie and they're sitting on top of the cliff and they're looking straight down? Those are cliffs. So the whole planet is filled with craters and cliffs, but it is land, so you can actually walk on it. Size. Now, if you look at this picture, the size of Mercury, is it smaller or bigger than Earth? It is. It's actually less than half the size of Earth. So with that being said, because of the weather, do you think that Mercury is livable? Can we live on Earth? Can we live on Mercury? No, that's right, we can't. Okay, so I'm quickly go through the rest of them. Venus is going to appear to be a white planet. It has no moons. It is the hottest planet in our solar system. Extremely hot. Pretty much if we were up there, we would melt. Most of our stuff we have would melt. Orbital period is 225 days, so it's close to our 365 days. The main gas in Venus is carbon dioxide. That's what we actually breathe out. But you know what breathes carbon dioxide or needs it? Plants and trees. That's right. Okay. The surface of Venus is filled with rocks, craters, volcanoes, valleys, and mountains. Okay, so it's kind of similar to Earth. The size, if you look at that picture, the size of Venus is about the same size as Earth. So we can see here. There goes Mercury, which is less than half the size of Earth. And here's Venus and Earth, and as you see, they're very relative to the same size. All right? But because it's the hottest planet on Earth, and the main gas is carbon dioxide, no, we will not be able to live on Venus. Okay? And then Earth, as we know, it appears to look blue, bluish green. We have how many moons? 1 moon. The weather here is good. It's good for us. It can be cold, but it doesn't get too cold. And it can be hot, but it doesn't get too hot, okay? Our orbital period is how many days?
365 days.
365 days. And even though we breathe oxygen, the main gas that's in our air or atmosphere is nitrogen. But there is a lot of oxygen in it as well. So our surface, we have a lot of water, a ton of water. We have volcanoes, we have mountains, we have valleys, we have all of that, okay? And like we said, we're comparing everything to Earth. So we're going to leave that blank for size. And yes, of course, it's livable. Mars. Mars is going to appear what color? Red, okay? Mars has 2 moons, which seem kind of crazy, huh? Now, the weather on Mars, in some places, it's okay. It's cold, but it's not too cold. But in other places, it's extremely cold where we couldn't really survive. So the temperature is from kind of cold to really cold, okay? I'm sorry. Temperature is okay, moderate to really cold. Orbital period is 687 days. That means the time it takes us to orbit around the sun, it would take Mars twice the amount of time, okay? Main gas in Mars is carbon dioxide. And if you look at the surface, it's got craters, volcanoes, things called channels, okay? And they look like this, little pathways in the surface, all right? Martian soil. If you ever watch those movies and they land on Mars and the dirt looks kind of reddish and they dust kind of kick it up, that's called Martian soil.
I know.
Oh, yeah? And then there's also a lot of dust storms. If you watch the movies, they show that where there's a big old storm and the winds are really fast and hard and the spacemen and astronauts are trying to hurry up and get out of there. Those are dust storms, okay? Now, if you look at the picture, Mars, as far as size goes, is half the size of Earth, okay? But because the main air is carbon dioxide and you got dust storms and it can be really, really cold, Mars isn't a typical planet to live on, okay? If you look at Jupiter from space, it's going to appear to look brownish orange. Jupiter has 79 moons. And it has 4 rings, okay? When you look at the planet, there are these rings that are around the planet. I think they're made up of ice and dust that just orbit around the planet, okay? I think some people believe it's from moons or asteroids that crashed down and kind of broken up into little pieces, and now they just kind of float around the Earth, float around the planet. Now, the weather here can be a little bit cold to extremely cold, all right? So really not good. The orbital period is 12 years. So the amount of time it takes us, 1 year to orbit the sun, it takes Jupiter 12 years. That's a long time. The main gas is hydrogen. All right. Again, that's not a gas we breathe in. And the surface is made up of gas and liquids. So it actually doesn't even have a true surface. So if we had a spaceship and we landed on there, there'd really be nowhere for us to land because there's really no land. It's just gas and liquid. Okay? There's also now a lot of dangerous storms that happen on that planet too. So it's kind of dangerous to be up there. And there's a lot of pressure that the planet exerts on anything that comes close to its atmosphere. So it's so much pressure on Jupiter that if we were to probably get anywhere close to it, we would just be crushed like that. So that's kind of scary. Now the size. Here's Earth. Here's Jupiter. Is Jupiter bigger or smaller than Earth? It is. It's so bigger. It's 11 times bigger than Earth. Okay? That's super huge. So again, not a livable planet. Saturn is very similar to Jupiter. It looks light brown, kind of close to the same color. It has 62 moons and 30 rings. When we usually look at the solar system, when we see that one planet that has all the rings, it's usually Saturn. Okay, it's a cool looking planet. Saturn is very cold. And the orbital period is 29 years. Again, it takes us 1 year to orbit the sun. It's going to take Saturn 29 years. That's a long time. The main gas is hydrogen, just like it is in Jupiter. And again, the planets are similar. So the surface, again, is gas and liquids. Doesn't really have a true surface. Jupiter and Saturn are close to the same size. Saturn is 10 times bigger than Earth. Jupiter is 11 times bigger. Saturn is 10 times bigger. All right. Now let's go on to Uranus. Uranus appears to be a light blue-green color planet. It has 27 moons and 13 rings. It is the coldest planet in our solar system. Orbital period is 84 years. That means that's almost a whole lifetime before that planet goes and orbits all around the sun. That's a very long time. Main gas, again, just like the other planets, the other two, is hydrogen. Now, because Uranus is the coldest planet in our solar system, what do you think you'll find a lot of? Ice, that's right. So it's also called one of the ice planets. So there's a lot of ice and a lot of fluid on this planet. Again, it doesn't really have a true surface where you can walk and land a spaceship and things on. Now, if you look at the size, Uranus is not too big, but it's not too small. But if you compare it to Earth, it's actually 4 times the size of Earth. And again, no, you cannot live there. It is so cold, you'll freeze to death. Okay? Neptune is going to appear to be blue. It has 14 moons and 5 rings. It is very cold there as well. 165 years for orbital period. You wouldn't even be able to live that amount of time. So you wouldn't be able to live from the time the planet starts to orbit around the sun, halfway, that would be your whole life. You wouldn't be able to live in order to see the whole orbit around the sun. That's crazy.
So the only one that you can probably live on, basically, is this all these are except for Neptune.
That's right. So from Uranus all the way back down, you'll be able to live the whole time to see the planet orbit around the sun. Yep, except for Neptune. That's 165 years. I don't know any 165 years people. Do you, Vince?
And definitely we could do it on Mercury because that's only 88 days.
That's only 88 days. That's right. So the main gas in Neptune is hydrogen. And again, it's like Uranus. It's an ice planet. So it's a lot of ice and fluid and gases. So again, it doesn't really have a true surface. And the size is similar to Uranus too. So it is relatively the same size as Uranus or 4 times the size of Earth. And as we have stated, because it is very cold, it will not be livable. Now, if you can see the weather, all right, these planets are closest to the sun. So as you get farther away from the sun, it gets cold. Closest to the sun, it gets hot. The only reason why Uranus is colder than Neptune is because of what the planet is made of and the inside of the planet exerts more heat and it's able to come through. So that's why, I'm sorry, for Neptune. So that's why Neptune's not the coldest. But other than that, this chart right here is what I have my son create. And from that, he can use these facts and descriptions to complete his report. So I'm going to move it closer to you so you can kind of see it there. So again, I had him write all the 8 planets on the top. I didn't include Pluto since it's now a dwarf planet. So I just had these 8 planets here. I had the characteristics on the side. So it was kind of fun to go ahead and put that together. Most of this information I got from the internet, planetforkids.org, planetfacts.com, and nasa.gov. So you can find all this information on the internet as well. All right, hope you guys enjoyed our video. Have a great day.